In another minute or two, it might actually feel refreshing. He could see now that Jennifer was treading water in front of what looked like a small cave in the side of the cliff. Jagged gray rock jutted out above its entrance. "Look," she said, "you can see inside." Kevin swam up beside her and took hold of the overhanging rock. She was right. The sunlight, glinting off the water, was reflected into the narrow cave. And there was something inside, a mineral phosphorescence, that made the interior walls sparkle like a million tiny diamonds. "Look at how it glows," Jennifer said, slipping forward under the overhang and toward the mouth of the cave. "That may not be such a good idea," Kevin warned. But with one wide stroke of her arms, she'd already entered. "Ooh, it's so spooky in here," she said, her voice echoing hollowly off the stone walls. "And air-conditioned." Well, what could I do now but follow her, Kevin thought, even if it does seem like a bad idea. He ducked his head and paddled into the cave after her. The moment he passed inside, he felt the hot sun sliding off the back of his head and a cool, ancient air enveloping him instead. Jennifer, a few yards away, seemed to be standing on something, her hand braced against the low roof of the cave. "There's a ledge here," she said, "so watch where you kick." A second later, he barked his shin on the underwater outcropping. "Damn!" "Sorry. I stubbed my toe on it, too, if it's any comfort." "It's not." He gingerly put his feet down on the smooth, slimy rock. Something, seaweed, he assumed, brushed around his ankles. "What if we're the first two people ever to discover this place?" Jennifer whispered. "I've got to believe somebody's anchored here before and spotted it." "But didn't they say there's been a drought this year, and that the level of the lake is lower than it's ever been?" "Yeah, they might have said something like that." "Then what if this cave has never been above the water level before?" Kevin shrugged. He supposed it was possible. And in the dim flickering light, washed in on the waves and refracted by the crystalline rock, it certainly seemed as if no human had ever intruded there. The cave felt like the oldest thing he'd ever seen, older than the steep walls of the Grand Canyon, older than the dinosaur bones he'd seen at the Natural History Museum, older than anything he could even imagine. He felt a chill run down his spine. "Come on," he said. "It's cold in here, and the tide could turn any second." "In that case, we'd better work fast," Jennifer said, throwing her arms around his neck. "This will be our secret place, forever." She pressed her body against him and kissed his lips. Kevin wanted to resist. He wanted them to get out of there. But when he felt her breasts rubbing his chest, the thin fabric of the bikini top sliding against his skin, his natural caution evaporated. He put his arms around her waist and pulled her even tighter. He closed his eyes. If this wasn't the perfect honeymoon moment, then what was? And opened them again only when he suddenly heard her gasp and pull away. "What is that?" she said, staring over his shoulder. Even if he'd thought she was kidding, the look on her face told him no. This was not a joke. He whipped his head around and saw it. Barely. Embedded in the sparkling rock, as if struggling even now to break free, he could just make out what looked like talons, sharp and extended, long and gnarled. They were clearly defined, yet melded to the stony wall. "It's a fossil," he said, hardly believing it himself. "Of what?" He bent to look closer, but the water sloshed around the glistening walls, and it was tough to see if the talons, or were they more like claws, were attached to anything else below the waterline. "You got me," he said. "I got C's in science." "Whatever it is, it gives me the creeps," Jennifer said, an uneasy note in her voice. "Let's get out of here." Kevin couldn't have agreed more, but he didn't want to give Jennifer any more of a scare than she'd already had. "You go first. But just in case this is worth something," he said, touching two fingers to the petrified talon, "maybe I'll just chisel off a little piece." "No!" Jennifer cried. "Don't do anything to it. Don't even touch it." "I was kidding," he said reassuringly. "I don't even have my chisel on me." He could see this was no time for jokes. "Let's get back to the boat. You go up first and I'll follow you." She slipped past him into the dark water, and as he turned to watch her go, away.